Epilogue. 13 years later.
So, do you remember all of that?
Avia muttered to herself, reading out loud exactly what she was writing on the paper currently sat on her desk within the confines of her bedroom.
Seems like forever ago, doesn't it? Thinking about it just makes me excited for this year. I know you've all been busy, but I hope we can all make it this time. Besides, I want to hear all about Blitz's new flame.
Avia giggled to herself, the now adult changeling looking off to the side at a framed picture showcasing the second iteration of the Cutie Mark Crusaders, all posing for a picture outside of Sugar Cube Corner when they were 18.
I hope to see you girls soon. I need a break from learning to be a queen sometime, right? Cutie Mark Crusaders forever. Avia. Writing a letter?
Avia jumped as her mother's voice came from behind her, and she turned to see the smug look on Twilight's face.
Oh, I didn't mean to scare you. Liar.
Avia retorted, but then followed up with a giggle.
I'm just writing to my friends. It's been a while. It has.
Twilight concurred, moving up next to her daughter as she rolled the letter up and stamped it with the royal seal of the Equestrian Hive.
You might want to get that sent off quickly. We're going to be busy soon. That expedition to the undiscovered West still happening?
Avia asked, placing the scroll to one side and turning to face her mother.
Honestly, they should have called it the Lost West or something. It was mapped out once. Not that those maps exist anymore,
Twilight pointed out.
Think of it. Discovering the birthplace of the pony species. I know, it's exciting!
The princess squealed.
And about time, too. I think 1,000 years and 2 centuries is enough time for a land to be lost, don't you? It's the only unexplored place left in the world. I suppose people were just terrified the Wendigos might still be there. Only one way to find out,
Avia stated.
Need any help getting things together? Later. Right now, though, it's late. I'm not a filly anymore, Mother. You're telling me you're not tired? Well, now that you mention it.
Twilight gave her a knowing smile.
You may not be a filly, but you're still my daughter. All right. I'll get some sleep soon, don't worry. No all-nighter for me.
Avia gave a sharp breath as her eyes shot open, the world on its side as her eyes slowly started to scan her surroundings. Her chitin felt oddly sticky as she pried it from the surface of the desk, slowly looking around her bedroom as she put the pieces together.
Ugh, really?
She scolded herself.
I couldn't even make it to the bed right there. Mom is going to either be very annoyed or she's going to find it very funny.
Actually, now that she thought about it, probably both. Avia slowly moved her aching body from the chair and into a standing position. She looked over to the bedside table on the other side of the unslept-in bed, glancing at the clock to see what time it was.
What?
The hands were just spinning. Avia latched onto the device with her magic and brought it close, turning it over to examine the battery slot. Everything seemed to be in order, but the hands kept moving erratically.
Stupid machine,
Avia growled to herself, dropping the clock onto the bed. She'd just have one of the more tech-centric changelings in their hive take a look. Speaking of, why couldn't she make contact with anyone? Avia tried to ping her mother, her father, any changeling she could reach, but silence. Only silence replied to her.
What in the...
Now Avia was starting to get worried. Doubly so since she could still feel the rest of the hive mind. She just couldn't speak to them. Avia quickly crossed her bedroom for the door. She would just find another changeling and have them tell the queen what was going on. Her mother would know what was happening or could otherwise find out. They had their study-obsessed brains in common, after all. Opening the door was a mistake. The moment she did, Avia gave a shout of alarm as a blast of pure flame thrust through and knocked the young changeling queen from her hooves into the floor. And then everything changed. Avia's eyes widened, her body shaking with fear as she felt the ground beneath her change to nothing but dirt and ash. A wave of heat draped itself over her as a wall of fire stretched in every direction. The open sky sat above her, obscured by smoke and more ash blowing through the wind. Avia had no idea what was happening, so she jumped to her hooves and lit her horn with a bright cyan aura. Magic crackled down it with one of the destruction spells she had been taught for self-defense. She peered through the fire, trying to fight through the confusion to see who would dare assault a royal changeling. And there, through the flames, a shadow emerged. The fire seemed to part around the figure and do them no harm. A large equine with an elongated horn bearing down towards the princess of the equestrian hive. Lightning crackled overhead as the flames gave a burst of heat and energy, causing Avia to grimace and stumble as she turned to face off with the figure. And then the equine's large, feathered wings shot out to either side, a red glow overtaking the horn as Avia's own sputtered out. The flames all rushed in, forming a bubble around her that prevented her from even thinking about flying away. Her magic seemed to stop working altogether as the fire closed in, and the princess was powerless to stop them. Which was why she was finally able to awaken from the nightmare, shooting up from beneath the covers of her bed with a shout of alarm and fear. But there was no fire. There was no destruction. And that figure was nowhere to be seen.
A dream. Just a dumb dream,
she muttered to herself, glancing to her side to see the clock showing that it was still too early for the sun to be up, if only just. So Princess Avia let the nightmare's memory depart her mind, despite how eerily real it had appeared at the time, and she let a far more pleasant sleep overtake her.